Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today is the first Dhamma Talk for me in year 2022. Also, this is the first class for Visuddhimagga Dhamma listeners. As we have already announced, we will combine two texts together, Patisambhidamagga and Visuddhimagga. In reality, the Visuddhimagga commentator, the author of Visuddhimagga, Venerable Buddha himself used Patisambhidamagga as reference. In his writing, he quotes many times, especially when you are going to read insight knowledges and anapanasati. Many of references are from Patisambhidamagga. So we have to introduce in Visuddhimagga, there are only this is only definitions of one stanza from Samyutta Nikaya. So that one is very simple sentences or very simple stanzas. When you go and read that stanza in English translations or any translation, it's not that much difficult, not that wide meaning. But when we go and read the Visuddhimagga commentary, that stanza is very, very meaningful. So we can find that stanza in Jaṭāsutta of Samyutta Nikaya, the first volume. So now I will introduce Jaṭāsutta today. The one is Ando Jata, Behi Jata, Jataya Jatita Baja, Dandang Gotama Puchami, Ko Imam Vichadaye Jata. This is the stanza mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya, Sakaravaka Samyutta, in Pali version, page 13. So here we have to know what is really called Jata. In English translation, it will be very simple. The internal and the external are tangled. The populace is entangled. I asked Gautama, who would disentangle this tangle? This is the translation. So here we have to understand the Pali words. Jata. Jata means craving. We human beings have craving. All the ordinary people, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, have craving. But different quality, different power. But here we have two more things, Ando Jata. Internally entangle. So that means we have attachments to our own properties, our life, our body, and also sense bases. Okay, so Ando Jata means entangled with one's own properties, life, body,
and basis. So that means we have attachment to our properties, our belonging, and our life, our body, and our sense bases. Then Bahijatta entangles with other people's property, other people's life, or other people's body and bases. That means sense bases.
So we have both attachment to internal and external objects. That's called Ando-Jatta and Bahijatta. Then Jattaya, Jatita, Bhaja. All the living beings are entangled with the tangle of these truths.
That means we all have attachment to internal and external things. Then a Deva approached the Buddha and asked this question: who can disentangle the tangle? The Buddha replied with very simple stanzas. Actually, there are a few more stanzas, but in Visuddhimagga, the following stanza is the main part. Sile patithaya naro sapanyo. Titam panyanja bhavayam adapi nibako bhikkhu so imam vijadaye jatam.
The wise man established in virtues develops his mind and wisdom.
Here the definition is very simple. The wise man, that means when we are knowledgeable or when we are three-rooted person, we have to establish the morality first. After that, we can develop our mind and wisdom. So here, established in virtues, that means morality. Develops his mind means concentration. And developed wisdom means vipassana. It just mentioned three trainings: sila, samadhi, panya. As we all have known that the three trainings also refers to the Noble Eightfold Path. Then it also covers 7 purifications. We have sila, the purifications of morality. We have samadhi, the purifications of mind. We have insight knowledge, remaining 5 stages of purification. So Venerable Buddhaghosa explained all these things in teaching. It becomes Visuddhimagga. Then again, Atapi Nibako Bhikkhu, so Imam Vijadaye Jatam. And that zealous and clever bhikkhu disentangles the tangle. Here we also have another thing, Atapi Nibako. Atapi means actually very strong intelligence, very strong efforts. Nibako means wise. So these are the explanations. Then I have to elaborate a little bit more. Sila. Sila means bodily and bhava, restraint. So this sila also the foundations of wholesome deeds. If we can control our body and our speech, it becomes the foundations of wholesome deeds. Here we have 4 types of morality. As a bhikkhu, we have Patimokkha rules. When we can follow the Patisambhidamagga rules, we are moral. Not only that, you also have Indriya Samvara Sila, guardian or protecting sense doors. The next one is all the things we obtained must be obtained by morality, righteously. Then this is called Ajiva Parisuddhi. The last one is Patisambhidamagga, depending on 4 requisites. When we are using 4 requisites, we must know the purpose of using the 4 requisites. This is also important as an ordering person. For lay devotees, it will be the same, but a few things different. Lay person don't have Patisambhidamagga rules. They may have 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 9 precepts, or 10 precepts. But not only that, they also have to guard their sense doors. We also should have pure livelihoods. Then the last part, they also should know the purpose of eating foods, wearing clothes, living in their residence, and using medicine. Which means we must not have attachment to our clothes, our living place, and our foods, and medicine. That is more important. So briefly, when we have very pure morality, then it will be supporting cause of concentration. Now, one more thing, the morality is supported by faith. So 4 types of pure morality that is supported by faith is the foundations of concentration. So we also have to know that when we have very strong faith or confidence in Buddha's teaching, we will follow the rules more carefully, more respectfully. The another one is Patitaya. Patitaya means being dependent or powerful dependent. In Pali, we call Nisaya and Upanisaya. So depending on Sila, depending on morality, or very powerful dependence of morality. After that, Sapanyo. Panya means wisdom. That means whose wisdom is produced by karma. That means we have 3 rooted karmas. If we have established 3 rooted karmas in our lives, and if that karma produces our reviving consciousness in this life, then it can be considered as 3 rooted karma. Then we also have Atapi. Atapi means the effort, which is protected by mindfulness and clear comprehension. As we all have known that is essential in every area when we are meditating, then clear comprehension, mostly we use the Pali word sampajanya, is also equal to wisdom. Sometimes, although we make efforts, if we are not wise, it can be wrong. But here, in the case of Atapi, the Pali words, the Atapi must be protected by mindfulness and clear comprehension to make straight or to make it smooth. Not only that, that effort must be powerful enough to destroy the defilements. Sometimes, although we are diligent, but not that much powerful to destroy the defilements. If we have very strong and powerful efforts, then we can destroy all the defilements. Another one is a nipako, having rationality or reasoning. In Pali, we call Parihariya Panya. Later, I will elaborate this part again. Because Parihariya Panya is also very wide. Then, Atapi Nipako Bhikkhu, the Buddha used this Pali words. Here, Bhikkhu means who knows and see the reverse or samsara as danger, is called Bhikkhu. Here, Citta means the superior mind, or we can also say the eight attainment. Compared to ordinary mind, the eight attainment is stronger, more powerful, superior. That's why it's called superior mind. Then Panyancha, Citta Panyancha. Here, Panya means we call the inside knowledge. So here, in this part, we have three types of Panya in this stanza. The first one is Sapanyo. There's also Panya, that is it. Three-rooted karma, produced by three-rooted karmas. That means when we are born together with wisdom. This is the first Panya. The second one is Nyapako. Nipako. Nipako means having rationality or reasoning. It also can be considered as a learning knowledge. Then the last one is the Panya, that is insight knowledge. So here we have three types of Panya. If we summarize this stanza, there are only 6 factors to disentangle the tangles. They are, the first one, Sila, morality. You have known what is Sila. 2, Samadhi, concentration. You have known what is concentration. Then later we have to explain everything in detail again. Then we have already talked about the Panya. Right? In the very beginning, Sapanyo, this Pali, it refers to Patisambhidamagga Panya, the wisdom that associates with reviving consciousness. That means since we were born, we must be born together with wisdom. According to Abhidhamma. Now the next one is Parihariya Panya. As I have said, Nipako.
The one is the knowledge that associates with mindfulness and that also can know the beneficial and unbeneficial. And this also the leading factors of every cases or affairs, especially in meditation.
Here we call the Parihariya Panya. We cannot find this Pali words, the definition of this Pali words in the commentary. So we can find the definitions of Parihariya Panya, especially it refers to Nipako. Nipako means Sapakicha Parinayika Parihariya Panya. This mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya Commentary, Book 1, page 48. So that means Nipako refer to Parihariya Panya. So here, Sapakicha, Brinayika, it can complete all the things, all the activities, or all the cases in meditation. And here I have to elaborate the Pali word, Sapakicha. So this one can be found in sub-commentary to Visuddhimagga. So as we have two books in Pali, both commentary also we have 2 volumes, sub-commentary also we have 2 volumes. So Visuddhimagga sub-commentary, book 1, page 16. It mentions the definitions of Parihariya Panya, especially here Sapakicha in the very beginning. Sapakicha means here Okaha, learning meditation. When we are going to learn meditation subjects, we must be skillful. We must know what to learn. This is called Okaha. Then second one is Paripucha, questioning. If the passage or some informations are not very clear to our knowledge, we must ask the teacher, how should we understand this passage? Then 3, Bhavana Rambo, that means practicing or meditating. Then finally, we have Manasikara Viti, the way to pay attention to meditation. So this is the case we have to do before meditation or when meditation. Then in our practice, here Parihariya Panya also can do many different things. The one is 1, Sakacha Karita, doing respectfully or respectfully doing. So in this case, when we are learning, we must learn respectfully. When we are questioning also, we must question respectfully or carefully. Similarly, when we are meditating, we must meditate respectfully. Not only that, when we know how to pay attention to meditation, we have to use it properly. That is also very important in our practice. Actually, this also called Parihariya Panya. Then next one, Satacha Karita. Satacha means continuously doing or continuously practicing. Especially when we are meditating, we must practice continuously. The longer we can practice, the better it can be if we have good concentration. So the main thing is learning, we have to learn continuously. Question also we have to do until it becomes very clear. When meditating also, we have to do continuously.
Then when we pay attention also, it must be continuously.
So we must know the methods. We can say the methods. If we can know the methods properly, we can pay attention to it properly. Then 3, we have Sapaya Karita, doing beneficial or doing only wholesome things or suitable things when we are meditating. So here we have to know Sapaya. Actually, later, when we are going to talk about meditation subjects, we also have to explain suitable conditions for meditators again. Then briefly, we can understand Sapaya means wholesome things. We have to do only for wholesome things. This is called sapaya, suitable things or suitable activities, suitable actions. Then 4, nimitta kusalata, being skillful in nimitta. From time to time, when I have opportunity to explain something about anapanasati or something about nimitta, I also explained this nimitta kusalata. Okay, anyway, when we have seen the nimitta, we must be skillful. In reality, before we see the nimitta also, we must be skillful. So if we are skillful, this is called parihariya panya. Then, number 5, Pahitatata, that means exciting energy. So here, if we talk about Pahitata, that means we have to set the goal before we start meditating or when we are meditating. Mostly, people have very high ambition. They have very high goal when they start meditating. I will try to attain Nibbana. Sometimes, what we expect is very far from our practice. When we are focused on the breath, we have to set a goal, nearest goal, like nimitta. If we can see nimitta, we have to set another goal to see or to attain jhana. If we can attain jhana, we set another goal. Of course, we all must have the final cessation. We must set a goal until we get the final cessation. We attain nibbana. This is also important. We have to set a goal to realize nibbana. Then for that, we have to make effort. That's called Pahitatata. Then 6, Andara Asangocho. No hesitation during the practice. Here we can also say another way, Andarami on the way. Asangocho. We will not come back on the way. Sometimes we can practice very well, but on the way we stop meditating. Then this is called Andara Sangocha. Contrary to it, Asangocha. No more hesitation, no more laziness, no more returning point. Just keep going. This is called Andara Asangocha. Then we have 7. Actually 7 and 8, 7 is Indriya, Samatha, Padiparada. Padipadana. That means practicing to balance the controlling faculties. So if we know how to balance controlling faculties, this is also called Parihariya Panya. We must know how to balance, how to control the faculties. Then number 8, actually 8 and maybe 9 will be the same, maybe.
That one's a Viriya, Samatha, Bharana, balancing efforts and concentration.
Then we also have the next one, Viriya, Samadana, Yojana, applying efforts and concentration by balancing them. So briefly, if we cannot balance the efforts and the concentration, we cannot concentrate well. I think you have listened many Dhamma talks about balancing controlling faculties. Here I should introduce a thing again. From time to time, if we have very strong efforts, but when we have very weak concentration, it causes restlessness. The stronger we make efforts, the stronger restlessness. That means our effort is stronger, our concentration is weaker. Sometimes we have very strong concentration, but very weak efforts. That means sometimes we don't have enough efforts to maintain our concentration. If like that, we cannot practice very well, then our mind power will gradually become weaker and weaker. Finally, we can fall asleep, or we can get bored or lazy. So it is also important to balance the efforts and concentration. If one of them is excessive, then there will be the problem. If we can balance these two, then we can practice smoothly, easily. Also, we can also feel more comfortable. Sometimes, if we use too much mental energy or bodily energy, we can feel stiffness, tension in our body. If we use normally, we can feel free, comfortable, and also we can feel fresh. We can also maintain very long time. If we use too much effort, we'll become very exhausted within few minutes. So this is one thing we have to know later. Actually, when we talk about jhana, also I have to repeat all the controlling faculties, also enlightenment factors and everything according to Visuddhimagga. Then we also have to know that the wisdom is the leading factors in every cases. So that means if we talk about Parihariya Panya, this is the wisdom is leading factors. So if we summarize Parihariya Panya, so we have to be wise when learning meditation, questioning, meditating, or when we know the methods to pay attention to meditation subjects. Not only that, when we are doing all these things, we must do it respectfully, continuously. Also, we must know beneficial or unbeneficial. We must do only beneficial things. We must be skillful in nimitta. Now we must set goal to realize nibbana and make effort to achieve it. Then we must not stop on the way. We must keep walking until we can reach the goal. Then we must balance our controlling faculties. Then when we know how to balance effort and concentration, then we can consider all these things are called Parihariya Panya. So I have already said, we can find all this information in Visuddhimagga sub-commentary. Then another thing is Vipassana Panya, insight knowledge, and also Viriya efforts. One more thing here, I have to summarize everything again because it's too long. In this stanza, we have talked about the definition of Visuddhimagga in the first stanza.
So Silipritaya Yonaro Sapanya, that stanza. In that stanza, there are only 6, right? They are sila, morality, and samadhi, concentration. Then Patisambhidamagga, we call sapanya. That means wisdom that associates with reviving in consciousness.
Parihariya Panya, that's called Nibbako, the knowledge that associates with mindfulness, and also can know the beneficial and unbeneficial, and also the leading factor of every affairs, especially in meditation. After that, next one is Vipassana Panya. There's insight knowledge, and also Viriya efforts. That means Adapi is called Viriya efforts. So we have all these 6 fetters, we can disentangle the tangles. That means we can solve all the problems with external base or internal base. We can also say another way, we can uproot it, the attachment or the craving for internal and external things. Then there we also mention some simile in the Visuddhimagga. Actually, we can find this simile in Sakkatthavakka Samyutta Nikaya also. So just a man standing on the ground and taking up a very sharp knife might disentangle the great tangle of bamboos. So we have many different types of bamboos. Some bamboo has very, very long branches. Then some bamboo has very short, also not that much messy. So if bamboo is a very, very messy, a lot of branches, they interlace, they grow to different directions, it becomes very, very messy with the branches. Here I mentioned a man standing on the ground. So if the ground we stand is slippery, we cannot stand properly, we cannot stand very well, we cannot cut any bushes. Then again, we have to use very well sharpened knife. If the knife is blended, we cannot cut. It will take a very long time to cut, even very small branches. So this is the basics, the foundations. We must stand on the ground. We must take up very well sharpened knife. Then here we have the explanation. The morality is the ground where the meditator can stand. So that means if we don't have morality, our ground is slippery, we cannot stand very firmly. That's why it's also important to have morality when we are going to meditate. The concentration is the stone on which the axe or the knife is sharpened. So if we are going to sharpen the knife, we have to wet on the stone. If we can wet well, it can be sharper and sharper. So that means to make our knife sharp, we must have concentration. Without concentration, we cannot make it sharp. Then the inside knowledge is the sharpened knife. So yes, you have to know. If we have the inside knowledge, our minds become very sharp. This is a kind of instrument to cut down all the defilements. Anyway, now we have another one, effort. Effort is the power or the energy or the strength. So when we are going to cut something, we have to make effort. Here we have already know when we are practicing morality also, we have to use too much mental energy. When we are going to meditate also, we have to use too much mental energy. So if we don't have mental energy, we cannot be successful. Similarly, we also have to put our bodily energy to be successful. This is also important for our practice. Then Parihariya Panya. I have explained Parihariya Panya, very long process. It also gives like a learning knowledge, right? Also questioning many different things. How to ask questions, how to learn meditation, how to meditate, everything. Parihariya Panya is the hand that holds the sharpened knife. So if we have this kind of knowledge, this kind of wisdom, we can hold the sharp knife very strongly. We can also cut all the bushes. Then another simile is the craven is the great tangle of bamboos. So I have already said craven for internal and external things. This is called internally and externally. It is disentangling at the moment of the path knowledge. When we can attain the path knowledge, we can disentangle. So if we have already attained the fruition knowledge, then we have already disentangled all the bushes, or the tanglement. So this is the simile mentioned in Visuddhimagga. But we also have another stanza mentioned in the original sutta. We call Jaṭāsutta, but it doesn't mention in Visuddhimagga. Ye samragoja dosoja avijaja virajita Kina sawa arhanto tesam vijatita jata. In whoever greed, hatred, and delusion are dispelled, the worthy one, those whose desires are destroyed, that means whose cravings are destroyed, has disentangled it. This is the first thing, the next stanza mentioned in the Samyutta Nikaya, Jaṭāsutta. You all have known the Pali words raga, dosa, avijja. Raga means greed, dosa means hatred, or avijja means delusion. So that means if we have already uprooted or eradicated all these defilements, we become arhat. That is why here we use the worthy one, arahanta, kinasawa. Kinaswami, destruction of all the things or krankles. That means whose desires are destroyed. So if we can uproot it, greed, hatred, and delusions, we became arahat and arhat. Then we can also disentangle all the entanglements, all the tangles. Then again, okay, here the last part of today's section. Yatha namanja rupanja asesam upa rojati patikam rupa sanyanja etesa chitsate jata. When mentality and materiality cease without any remaining, and also gross perception, material perception, then too it is disentangled. So, as you have already known the Pali words, nama. Nama means mentality. Here, mentality refers to four mental aggregates. Then rupam, material aggregates. Rupam actually, here we just talk about materiality. we refer to material aggregates. If we combine these two together, Nama Rupa, it will be 5 aggregates. The Patika Sanya, gross perception, to refer to sensual existences. That means we can be reborn in the sensual realms. This is also one thing, Patika Sanya. Yeah, Patika Sanya also refer to sensual pleasure or sensual objects. So, we may have perceptions about sensual pleasure, sensual life. This is called Patika Sanya. Rupa Sanya, the perception of materiality that refers to 5 material existences. So that means we may have attachment to 5 material existences. We can also have perception of 5 material existences. Then today we can catch it with realization of Nibbana. So the main thing is, if we have already removed all the Lobha, Dosa, Moha, also if we can already know the cessations of Nama Rupas, then the cessations of gross perception, the cessation of perceptions of materiality, then that means we can realize Nibbana. We have already attained headship. Then, as you have already know the Pali word Visuddhi, which are the purifications of purity. It has many different meanings of purity. Sometimes it just mentioned inside knowledge, merely inside knowledge. So as we have the Pali words, purity or purification, then we can know that the highest one is inside knowledge or path and fruition knowledge. So if we have already attained headship, we don't need to purify anything. Before attaining headship, we have to purify. That's why here we just talk about inside knowledge. We have to practice to achieve it. Then sometimes we also talk about jhana panya. So that's associated with jhana. So when we can attain jhana, this is also associated with wisdom. This is also about purification. It also can purify the defilements, especially hindrances. Then sila, etc. Sila also can purify. Actually, when we go and study Visuddhimagga, it will mention more in detail. For example, it will mention not only sila, it will mention something a little bit more in detail about the one. So, for example, the actions, the karma, also can purify human being. Then similarly, vichara, the knowledge, also can purify human being. Then the Dhamma also can purify the human being. Then sila also can purify human being. So, similarly, pure livelihoods can also purify the human beings. So all are called karma and so on. We call kammati vasena in Pali. So again, we have the last part, the last one, satipatthana. And you have already know this Pali word, satipatthana, the foundations of mindfulness. When the Buddha talk about satipatthana, the Buddha also talk about ekayano ayambhikvimako satana visuddhiya and so on. This is the only way to purify the living beings and so on. In reality, not only satipatthana, but also it can be samapatthana, itipada, and many other enlightenment factors. So today we have already introduced the first part of Visuddhimagga. If we summarize, Visuddhimagga is the definitions of only a stanza, one stanza from Sakatavaka Samyutta, Sile Patithaya, Naro Sapanyo, Chitam Panyancha, Bhavaya, Atapi Nipako Bhikkhu, So Ima Visuddhiye Jaṭa. So in this stanza, we can find only three things: Sila, Samadhi, Panya. But to disentangle all the tangles, we need 6 factors. So the first one is Sila, morality, Sile, Paritaya, Naro. Then Sapanyo, that is Patisandhi, Panya. So when we are born, we must be born together with wisdom. That means we must be 3-rooted person. Then Chitam, Panyancha, Bhavaya. Chitam means concentration. Sorry. Another one is like a Atapi is effort, intelligent. The Nipako is Parihariya Panya. That means when learning, when questioning, we must be wise. When meditating, we must be wise. Then Chittami, concentration. Then Panyami, wisdom. If we all have all these things, we can eradicate or we can uproot the defilements led by craving. So we have attachment to many different things. So this is the first part of Visuddhimagga. So unfortunately, I cannot follow all the orders mentioned in Visuddhimagga because from time to time I will change. Because I have to also read many other texts. Anyway, so if we have opportunity, if time favor, I think it will be more than 100 talks maybe, right? Anyway, I have to collect all the information into one. One more thing here. I also need your feedback. Next week, we have to start the relationship between 3 trainings and many other things, right? Then again, we also have to talk about morality chapter. In the morality chapter, it also mentioned when you think about the Achara, Kojara, Sila, and many different things. Before that, we also talk about Patimokka restraints, Patimokka rules for bhikkhus. It will be useful for bhikkhus, but for about lay devotees. Then I have to think about a little bit more, because if we can explain about 5 precepts, it will be more beneficial, I think, right? So then I have to collect all the informations first. After that, I will send to the organizer, host here, right? After that, we will continue next Dhamma Talk. Anyway, this is the first Dhamma Talk for this year. Also the first class for Visuddhimagga. Then also the first things, we have learned many new things. I think you have to learn many new things in this part. Anyway, so in Buddha's teaching, we have only 3 trainings, but we can elaborate many different ways. But in Visuddhimagga, it elaborates very many things in teaching. But it doesn't mean Visuddhimagga is a complete manual for practitioners. But anyway, this is also good enough for all the new learners to practice. So may you all be able to practice the 3 trainings as guided by the Buddha. May you all be able to realize the final cessations and suffering by practicing step by steps. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Vandamisaro, I heard a joke from South Korean people. They said in Myanmar, they teach meditation according to Bande Buddhaghosa's teaching, not according to the Buddha's teaching. Which means in Myanmar people follow the Visuddhimagga a lot, but maybe South Korean people don't. Visuddhimagga is Buddha's teaching. So what's that all think, and why do you choose to teach Visuddhimagga to us?
Okay, sure. This is also a good question, right? So one more thing here I have to say about Visuddhimagga. Visuddhimagga actually, okay, for example, 7 purification. Where can we find the 7 purification? It just comes from Pali Canon. We have Jaṭāsutta from Majjhima Nikaya. It mentions 7 purification. Then, okay, what about Sila chapter mentioned in Visuddhimagga? For example, we may talk about Patimokkha Samvara Sila. It comes from Patimokkha. If we talk about Indriya Samvara Sila, it comes from many suttas in many different Nikaya. Everywhere the Buddha talk about to cast sense doors, right? Many parts mentioned. Then again, what about Ajiva Parisuddhi Sila? We can find all the things in Tigha Nikaya. This is one thing. What about only Sila chapter? So that's what I have already said today. Visuddhimagga is not complete guide, but anyway, it's good enough. Because when we go and study Tigha Nikaya about Great Sila, Mahasila, Majjhima Sila, Chula Sila, it will mention very, very minor detail about Sila. This is one thing. For about Samadhi chapter, okay, let alone all other things, we should talk about only Anapana chapter. Anapana chapter, most of the parts are come from Patisambhidamagga. Or in my life as a learner, especially as a student in the Pali school, I like Patisambhidamagga because it mentioned about Anapanasati very many things minor in detail. Very, very minor details there. So similarly, it will mention many other steps from, for example, insight knowledge just come from Patisambhidamagga, not his own idea. So another thing is, whenever he is going to talk about new things, he also gives source reference from Pali Canon. This is the one thing. So one more thing here is it. Most of the people, they just complain, oh, this is from commentary, not Buddha's teaching. Surely they haven't read even Pali Canon. If they have read Pali Canon, they can also find many things from Pali Canon in Visuddhimagga. Then they will not say that kind of things. Okay, briefly, we can understand Visuddhimagga also have many source reference from Pali Canon. Whenever he is going to talk about something new, he will quote some Pali source from Pali Canon, any Pali text. Mostly, for about practice or insight knowledge, he will quote Patisambhidamagga. Okay, that is why we teach Visuddhimagga, but not only Visuddhimagga. We also have to teach all other suttas that mention in Visuddhimagga. Okay.
Okay, the first question is, today is the first lesson on Visuddhimagga. Could Sayadaw explain some history about Visuddhimagga and the difference between Visuddhimagga and Patisambhidamagga?
Okay, sure. So the first thing is the history of Visuddhimagga. Okay. Then if we talk about, we have to talk about Venerable Buddhaghosa first, right? Venerable Buddhaghosa was born in India, but he also had to learn some part of Buddha's teaching in India. But unfortunately, they don't have commentary in India. They may have some part of commentary in India because when we study Visuddhimagga, we can find many, many points. Then he was to translate all the commentary into Pali, because in Sri Lanka, they have Sanskrit commentary. Initially, it will be in Pali, but later they translate into Sanskrit. Then Pali version disappear, only Sanskrit version remain. So he went to translate all the Sanskrit commentary into Pali. He approached senior bhikkhus there in Sri Lanka. Then he requests to translate into Pali. Okay, so we also have to know one more thing. Sri Lankan bhikkhus at the time are not that much easy to believe in somebody. For example, like Venerable Buddha, he was totally new to them. They didn't believe him. They just wish to test his Pali skill and his writing skill. That's why they asked him, please show one book. And he also writes. As you know now, we have Visuddhimagga, right? He writes Visuddhimagga. The first time he is going to present the Visuddhimagga in Sangha assembly. Then the book disappears. Second time he rewrote. The same thing happened. Third time he wrote. Then when he is going to read, going to get agreement from Sangha, all the three books appear. Then all the three books are the same ingredients. All the words are the same. Then that's when they believe Venerable Buddha, and they allow him to translate all the commentary. Then later he became commentator. Okay, this is his biography. So Visuddhimagga was written by Venerable Buddha. We can say compiled by Venerable Buddha. Then you may also have known something about Visuddhimagga. I think many of people know that booklet. So Visuddhimagga is also Asian scholar, written by an Asian scholar. They also say it is written by Arhat Upadisa, something like that. Anyway, it's written by Upadisa. We cannot know Arhat or not. But here we have something a little bit different from Visuddhimagga and Visuddhimagga. Visuddhimagga is a little bit smaller version. Visuddhimagga is a little bit more in detail. Now, one more thing here. In Pali, we call in Pali KG. KG means inferior one. Sometimes when he have to mention something from Visuddhimagga, he mentioned this KG. Then he disagrees with Visuddhimagga. Venerable Buddha disagrees with Visuddhimagga. Okay, now this is about the difference between Visuddhimagga and Visuddhimagga. Another one is the Patisambhidamagga. Patisambhidamagga is not commentary. It's Pali canon. It's taught by Venerable Sariputta. So Visuddhimagga mentioned 7 purifications, step by step, how to practice. This is compiled by Venerable Buddha. So Patisambhidamagga is, I have said, by Venerable Sariputta. He mentioned different knowledge of different types of knowledge in Patisambhidamagga. So that means if we wish to know anything about insight knowledges or this knowledges, for example, analytical knowledges, or all the knowledges will be mentioned in Patisambhidamagga. It will be very many in detail. But for about commentary, Patisambhidamagga commentary and Visuddhimagga commentary are very similar, especially all the ingredients. Actually, I have in my life, I just study Patisambhidamagga first. Now, when I'm going to reach Visuddhimagga, I have to skip many parts because I have read many things. Okay, the main thing is Visuddhimagga is written by Venerable Buddha. Patisambhidamagga is taught by Venerable Sariputta. Visuddhimagga mentions 7 purification. Patisambhidamagga mentions different types of knowledges and practice. Okay, I think it's enough.
Yes, Sayadaw, the second question is regarding the sixth quality or sixth factor that can disentangle the tangles. First is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. And what are the fourth, fifth, and sixth?
Okay. So I have to review, right?
And also the question regarding the Manasikara. So Manasikara means what?
Manasikara means pay attention. Manasikara is easier, right? Pay attention
Yes,
to
yes.
Manasikara. Okay. Okay, now I have to review all the six. Okay, I will use the Pali word, right? 1, Sila, modality. 2, Samadhi, concentration. 3, Patisambhidamagga, the wisdom that associates with prevailing consciousness. 4, Parihariya Panya, the knowledge that associates with mindfulness. Also, the knowledge that can know the beneficial and unbeneficial, and also the knowledge that leads. That's the leading factor of every activity, so every affair. Then next one is Vipassana Panya. 5, Vipassana Panya, the insight knowledge, and 6, Viriya, effort. These 6 are mentioned in the stanza. Okay.
This is regarding Sila. For CLA, the 10 precept CLA, if she has to go back to take care of her parents, can she take the precept at home?
Can
she take 10 precept at home?
That one's a little bit difficult to explain, right? Mostly, for example, like Samanera, when they are going to take precepts, they have to take precepts from a bhikkhu, not from the Buddha. So for about lay devotees, they can take precept from everywhere. They can take precept from the Buddha, they can take precept from a nun, or even from lay person. It's possible. So that one is a little bit difficult to answer, right? We cannot say exactly, because at the time of the Buddha, this is not Siyali, right? If you can take precept from a bhikkhu, it will be much better. Okay.
If there are beings who are disturbed by the Mara, how to overcome this problem and how to protect oneself?
Okay, so Mara, we have many different types of Mara, right? It is also called Mara. The Deva also called Mara. So the main thing is, if we are diligent, okay, here we talk about atapi, atapi, efforts, making efforts, setting goal to achieve something. If we are diligent for it, then we can overcome Mara. This is the one thing. Another thing is, if we can develop 7 enlightenment factors, the 7 bojjhanga, we can also overcome Mara's armies. Actually, there are many things mentioned to overcome Mara's armies.
Sayadaw, this question, I think Sayadaw have repeated in the talk. She asked about this, the Sapanyo and developing of Panya. These 2 types of Panya, what are the difference?
Okay. Sapanyo is Patisambhidamagga Panya. That means in our Rivalingam mind moment, it must associate with wisdom. Then we must be 3-rooted person. This is called Sapanyo. So another one is Panya Jabhavaya, right? That one. That Panya is inside knowledge. Okay? It will be 2 different things.
This discussion of Nana Ganika Karma Pachaya for Anantara Nana Ganika Karma type, cause and effect can happen in one certain life, which is Maggaphala. For pure Nana Ganika and Pakupanisaya Karma, the cause and effect can happen in the same life or not. If so, why for Patina Amupada practice Karma only as past cause?
Actually, okay, past calls me, it doesn't mention anything about present or, sorry, that's okay, that means past means present life or past life. Actually, it can be any past, right? For example, like we may have Jaṭāsutta karma, presently affected karma. Then karma is in this very life, it also produces this one, right? But okay, one more thing, this one is some argument. There's some scholar says, the present life karma, like a nanakita karma like this, it cannot produce nama rupa. It just produces only rupa like this. Anyway, it can be past and present. If we say pure nanakita karma, it can be past and present. If we talk about another karma, it can be sure past and future. So this we're gonna this also get you can say like nanakita. We're gonna say nanakita. This is the karma. So we have a sahajata karma, nanakita karma, and also we also have another karma. Only 3 karma. What about Upanisaya? I don't know Upanisaya.
He or she say, Vandami Bhante, in making up one's mind as to the characteristic of the cessation in the Magga, the meditator must not give rise to desire or want to attain quickly, because then it will be the false Magga in most cases. When cessation has happened, he will decide for himself that he has attained Maggaphala, and that he must not cling too much, because that cessation is very delicate. Some people have very strong samadhi and experience cessation, but it is not cessation in Magga. Mostly it is cessation in samadhi. If we think it is Magga, this is a wrong conclusion. So what Sayadaw would comment on this?
Actually, I'm not quite clear of all the statements.
Okay.
Okay, right? That means if we talk about cessation, mostly we talk about in Pali in Nirodha, right? In English wise it's called mostly cessation, but in Pali we use Nirodha. We have only 2 types of Nirodha, Upada and Anupada. Upada means after arising, after perishing, then it will arise, it will perish again and again. This is called Upada. Anupada means totally passing away, totally cessation. That means we have already attained path and fruition knowledge, especially arhatship. No more defilements, no more arising of cause and effect relationship. This is called this finish. Actually, when we enter Nibbana at the end of the life, then no more rewards. There's totally cessation. No more arising. This is also called Anupada Nirodha. So, in this case, a little bit strange to me also, right? That kind of statement is a little bit strange to me. Okay, anyway. I have to learn one more new, right? Okay, that? Another thing?
Okay, actually, the person who asked the question has a follow-up remarks or question. So when Vandami Bhante, I get this sharing in making up one's mind as to the characteristic of the cessation in the Magga. The meditator must not give rise to desire or want to attain quickly, because then it will be the false Magga in most cases. When cessation has happened, he will decide for himself that he has attained Maggaphala, and that he must not cling too much. Oh, sorry, this is a repeat from just now. Okay, the question is, could Bhante explain about cessation in Samadhi? What does it mean? What is it?
Cessation in Samadhi. Cessation in Samadhi, who mentioned that one? I don't know any Pali words about cessation in Samadhi. Right? This is a little bit strange to me also.
Okay.
Right?
So then we can skip to the next question.
Okay.
So next question.
Sayadaw, this is regarding this Panadipada, the precept on Panadipada, killing. So according to this understanding, if someone does not involve in the actual killing, but involved in the discussion, of the killing, but for example, he chose to provide meat, to offer to the canteen. Would that commit Panadipada precepts?
So that means he asks his wife to kill.
No, he provides meat to the
Provide meat and to offer.
to the canteen. Yeah, offer the meats to the canteen. So this question is not clear, either meat or artificial meat. So if meat, would there be an Panadipada? If offer artificial meat, would there be a Panadipada?
Artificial meat is not killing anything. We cannot say Panadipada. For about meat, it depends on how you get. For example, you have to order from butcher, right? Then sure, they will keep for you. This is the Panadipada. If you don't need to order anything, then you just go to the market, buy meat there. Then we're going to say this is the Panadipada. Okay?
Sayadaw, this question also Sayadaw have explained in the class. The Sapanyo, this wisdom, and the Panya to practice, and then Nipako Piku, Nipako this Panya. What are the difference? What are the differences? I say Sayadaw have already explained.
Okay, sure. Right? Patisambhidamagga, this is the same we are born, right? This one. Then Navas and Nipako is like we have to know how to learn, how to ask questions, how to practice, how to balance, everything can be considered as Parihariya Panya. This is called Nipako. Okay? Yeah?
Sayadaw, regarding this Samajanya. So what the different Samajanya? Is it wisdom?
Yeah, Samajanya is also one of the wisdom, sure. Okay? Yeah?
Sayadaw, he asked about Nipako Bhikkhu. This Nipako, does this Nipako defined by Parihariya Panya?
Yeah, sure. There's Parihariya Panya, sure. Yeah?
Okay. Next question is a follow-up question from just now.
Sayadaw, sorry.
Okay. Anything?
Sayadaw, about the taking sila by the 10 precepts Siale at home. She asked, can she take 10 precepts from a bhikkhu through internet, through video conference?
This is a little bit straight to me also, right? So usually, okay, one more thing. When we are going to talk about sila, it must be, okay, for bhikkhu, we have to do abhidesana in Hatapasa, right? So for lay person, if they take precept from internet, I think possibility, not that much problem. But for CRA or for some areas, I think this is not really very good also. Okay?
So I think probably this is the last question, Sayadaw.
Okay.
So if there's participant, if you have a question, please raise your hand. If not, okay, then thank you very much, Sayadaw, for your teaching today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Oh, but Sayadaw, there's one last question. Would you like to take it?
Okay.
Okay. Sayadaw, Bhante, please translate.
Well, let me see, Sayadaw. If someone faces many extraordinary phenomena, how to settle it and how to protect oneself.
Someone has many extraordinary
Happenings or phenomena,
Mm-hmm.
how to settle it and how to protect oneself.
Uh-huh. So it depends on what is the extraordinary experiences or happen. Right? This one is not complete. I cannot understand clearly. So that means
mysterious or strange or supernatural happenings.
I see. Okay, I know, extraordinary. So then one is okay. Sometimes because of karma, we cannot do anything. For example, like you may know many other things that will happen, right, in the near future. So that's because of your karma. You can know it. Nobody can know that kind of things. Like you cannot do anything, right? Well, sometimes you can also have other people. But the main thing is, if because of karma, you have this kind of extraordinary skill or quality or something, you cannot do anything. So only one thing is like we must be wise how to use it. If we are wise enough, it will be okay, not really big problem. If we have bad quality, then it will be very, very risky for our improvement. Okay, so that means as long as we are good for our environment, okay, we can protect ourselves. If we are bad for our environment, then it will be very, very risky for our life. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sayadaw. Bante Pawaradhamika, do you have any question from the Vietnam side?
Vanami Sayadaw. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can Sayadaw hear me, Sayadaw?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yes, Sayadaw. There one question from in Vietnamese, Sayadaw. I will translate, Sayadaw. Venerable Sayadaw, Sayadaw teach that the panya here, there are two types of panya. So how to get the panya to arise together with parisanti moment, Sayadaw? So which karma to produce it? How to make that karma to produce the panya together with arise together with the parisanti moment, Sayadaw? Yes.
Okay. So that one is already happened in our rivers. So this life we cannot change, right? But we can do. We must be ready for future. Okay. Anyway, if we have accumulated three-rooted wholesome karma, especially superior three-rooted wholesome karma, that means when we are doing something wholesome, like it's dana, sila, or meditation, we must work it with knowledge. We must accumulate it wisely. This is called three-rooted wholesome karma. Then not only that, when we are doing, before doing, and after doing, before actual doing of the wholesome karma, or after actual doing of this wholesome karma, it must be also associated with wisdom. If three-rooted wholesome karma is accompanied by three-rooted wholesome karma, it becomes powerful three-rooted wholesome karma. When this wholesome karma produce next life in Patisambhidamagga, it will associate with knowledge. So that means whenever we are going to do something good, we must be wise. This is only one way to catch that kind of ability. Okay?
Sayadaw, she would like to ask about the Visuddhi. One of the Visuddhi is Kamadi Visuddhi. How to purify by doing the karma, means by actions, how to purify it oneself.
Okay. Okay, so that means if our action is pure, this means, okay, one more thing. We have to say, okay, a few more things here, right? If we talk about Kamadi, now you just ask about Kamadi, right? So Kamadi means in the case of karma, we consider like a path or knowledge also karma. Right? Then another one is like a Vita. Karma, okay, I will use the Pali word. Karma means Magga Jirana. the volitional formations of past knowledge, also can be called karma. The vicca is here we call samadhi, right view. Then we also have the Dhamma, right? Karma, vicca, Dhamma. Here also Dhamma refer to samavaca, samakamanta, samasankappa, samavayama, samasati, samasamadhi. Then we have sila. Sila is samavaca and then samakamanta. This is called sila, right? Out of the jivita, samahajiva. So in brief, it's Noble Eightfold Path. Karmati means karma and Noble Eightfold Path. So we can, if we are practicing Noble Eightfold Path, we are purifying ourselves, right? We can understand like that.
Vandami Sados. So that means only vipassana knowledge without complete the rest factor, sila, etc., to disentangle the tangle. Is it possible to attain nibbana? Because we can see nowadays many people has completed vipassana, but the attitude is not reflecting their attainment.
Okay, so here we have to understand two different things. The personality and the Dhamma are two different things. Sometimes they cannot change their personality. Then they can practice well. This is the two different things. Okay, one more thing is the complete vipassana. That usage is a little bit risky for me also. For example, complete vipassana means attain arhatship. So as long as we are practicing, we haven't attained arhatship yet, we cannot say complete vipassana. We can say like that we have already learned how to practice meditation. We can say we have learned how to meditate. That's all. We cannot say completed, right?
His question regarding in the daily life, if she has faith in some very anatta aramana 非常 object which are very undesirable. So in this case, she will have a very great dosa arises. Then after that, will have a lot of bad effects to her bodily and mentally. So her question is how to develop her loving kindness mind in daily life.
Okay, so the main thing is you have already know the disadvantages of dosa. You have to know the value of metta first. After that, you have to love yourself. After getting angry, you have to suffer first. It's not sure you can disturb other people or not, but it's sure dosa will distract your mind first. It's very, very harmful for you. So the main thing is you must try to love yourself more. If you love yourself, then you can also love other people around you. Metta is not ready-made. We have to establish by ourselves slowly. Okay, now briefly, try to love yourself. Try to have good wish for yourself. For example, may I be free from danger. Okay, now in your case, may I be free from anger. Okay, this is also okay, not really big problem. Right? So here, danger refer to internal danger, external danger. It will be many different types of danger. So then in the future, so you may have many danger if you get angry. So if you wish to avoid it, try to love yourself more and more. And ready metta to yourself first. If you really wish, if you really have mind power to love yourself, then sure, your metta will become powerful gradually. Okay?
Zero. The question here is that the meditator can consider as a practice, a vipassana practice, if only he can see the ultimate reality, the mentality and materiality, nama rupa, ultimate nama rupa, only then can say that is a vipassana, or he just knowing they have the sati, the mindfulness on when standing, working, lying down, or sitting. Is that also called masatipatthana? Is that also called vipassana? It's just mindfulness on any posture, the four posture only, or he need to see the ultimate reality, nama rupa, only then co-vipassana said on. Yes.
Okay, so when we talk about vipassana, we must know ultimate reality. If we don't know ultimate reality, then we cannot say this is the vipassana. So here, one more thing is about mindfulness. Actually, it's very, very wide. When we talk about mindfulness, it also covers all the four foundations of mindfulness. As you know, even Kayanupassana Satipatthana, it covers many, many samatha subjects. He also mentioned four-element meditation, right? Very, very wide. So mindfulness is essential everywhere. Then when we talk about vipassana, sure, it must be only ultimate reality and their causes. Okay?
His question is how to do kusala so that it can be associated with wisdom. Practically, how to do it?
Okay. Okay, I will talk about dana first, right? When we are going to talk about, when we are going to offer something to the receiver, we also have to think about what receiver needs. Don't think about what we wish to offer. So that means we must know the benefit of our donation. It will be beneficial for the receiver. This is the one thing. So another thing is, like our intention. If we have bad intention, we cannot practice well. So our intention must be good enough for our environment. This is also important. So briefly, our minds, we must have loving kindness to our living beings. We must not have any attachment to the receiver. We must not have any competition or any like a pride, or we guess like a conceit. Then we must be wise when we are offering. This is one thing. So, what about the sila again? When we are going to do sila, we must think about welfare of other living beings. For example, if we don't kill living beings, they will not die. It's for their benefit, not for our benefit. If we know like this is the call. Wise intention, this is called we are wise. That sila is also not associated. If we are so selfish, I don't want to fall into fourfold states. That's why I observe precepts. This is not really very wise. So we have to change our perception, our attitudes to other living beings, right? Okay.
Said all. So is that offer when they offer the Dhamma books? So is that also is that the cost of wisdoms at all to offer the Dhamma books? So when offer the Dhamma book, is that the cost to arise the wisdom? Said all.
Okay,
that
this
is
also
the
can be.
question.
Okay, this also can be the cost. Yeah, the cost of wisdom. But one more thing is we ourselves must be wise when we are offering, right? For example, like you may offer to Myanmar Bhikkhu Vietnamese books. This is not really very good, right? This just gives some very simple example. So that means as long as your book is beneficial for the reader, then this is called offering wisdom. Sure. Okay. Ita wadaja amehi sambadam punya sambadam sabbe deva numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe satta numodandu sabba sampati siriya idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo idam me nyatinam hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo idam me nyatinam hotu Sukhita hontu nyatayo idam me punyam asawakaya waham hotu idam me punyam nibbanasa patayo hotu mama punya bhagam sabbasatanam bhajemi te sabbe me samam Punya Bhagam Labandu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu